Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. This time I'm here with Anthony, who got first place at the Top Cut event that took place over the weekend. Anthony, how you doing today?
Fantastic, man.
Awesome, glad to hear it. So you played Invoker. Now, yesterday I did the video where I talked about the Top Cut breakdown, and there was so much Invoker in this Top Cut. So firstly, I want to ask you, why did you decide to play this deck?
Okay, so the obvious thing is to say I'm really big brain and I expected a lot of Rogue to beat Vegix.
Okay.
But I'm just very stubborn, and I'm always playing Invoker.
Now, that's really interesting. You say, one of your things was to beat Rogue that beats Vegix. So let me ask you, what was the Rogue you were anticipating, and how does that beat Vegix? And then how are you advantaged in that matchup?
So a few decks I've been seeing people toy around with were the red Bulmas. I've also seen the Broly Surge decks that kind of have a very good Vegix matchup, but not very anything else.
Okay.
There have been some Sin Shenron builds that have been tailored to beat Vegix as well, which I actually faced in the finals of this tournament. And I actually faced all those minus Broly Surge. Double Bulma back-to-back. Robert Ritze, one of the best players in the game. Ended up playing against him round 4, and it was a dominating win for me. And then Sin Shenron in the finals again. So I did play one Vegix, so, there's a little bit of legitimacy to my win.
Gotcha.
But a majority of it, Vegix was knocked out of the tournament by a lot of these Rogue decks.
That's really interesting, and that's good on you for making that meta call, anticipating that people will play answers to Vegix, so you're playing the answers to those answers, right? That's really cool. Now, let me ask you another question. Do you think the same thing applied to the other players? Like, there were three U7 Invokers in the top 8, so do you think that same logic applied to them? Like, is that why you think U7 Invoker was so dominant this weekend?
Well, I can't speak for, I think it was second place was also Invoker, but I can for fourth. It's George Monez, Spira.
Yep.
The Couscous Empire. Shout out to you guys. And we have been just stuck on Invoker. We've been constantly playtesting, seeing where to go from there, how to answer the current meta, and if there are any shifts. I think it was just the perfect timing for Invoker players because so many people were going for that anti-Vegix matchup, and we had the best matchup towards all of them.
Very cool. All right, so let's get into the main deck here. So right off the bat, I have one glaring question. You play 4 TOP Arena, but no Whis to search it out. Now, I've never seen that in an Invoker build, so you got to explain that to us.
Well, actually, Anthony Figueroa was one of the first to really do it. He also got first place. This is about maybe 1 or 2 months back. And after that, I did message him, and I was just like, hey, man, no Whis? And he's just like, nah, it was just a dead card late game. And I started testing it from there, and I really agreed. It was a dead card, and if I see the arena, I see the arena. If I don't, I'm still able to utilize my plays.
And you noticed, like, if you didn't see Arena, it wasn't a problem, like, not being able to charge multicolor untapped? Like, that wasn't a big deal?
It was not a big deal. I'm forced to play Vegeta on 4, if anything, or if I have super combos or a Dimension Magic and an up and drop to do the Sparking Negate, I would do it on 3 and Awaken that turn. But I actually saw a Tournament of Power Arena turn 4, 2 games in a row, and I still was able to dominate.
Very cool. So would you say going forward that Whis is just pretty much not needed in the deck at all?
It's too much clutter. Seeing it late game is really, it can really kill you.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. I like it. So 4D Magic, pretty standard. 3 Senzu Bean. Now, I'm always okay with 3 Senzu Bean. I know a lot of players will say, 4 Bean or nothing, right? But I think in this format in particular, where Obuni is such a strong card, I feel like 4 Bean is a little bit more warranted. How'd you feel about 3 Bean?
Honestly, I used it more on offense than defense.
Okay.
I totally feel the same. Obuni is a threat, and being able to make sure that you don't get killed by a bunch of tokens is very crucial. But I used it more on offense. I was actually considering taking it down to 2.
Oh, wow. And what kind of offensive plays were you making with that? Because, as we know, Invoker's not like a super aggressive deck. So what kind of Bean plays were you making offensively?
Turn 5, if I summoned Apex. I'm sorry, turn 6, if I had summoned Apex the previous turn, I would combo him away. I would then Beam, so that I would have that mana open. We would play We Are Universe 7, grab the Apex back from drop, and play it again.
Okay, that's pretty dope. I like that a lot. Very nice. All right, so going on to the next part of the deck, we have 4 Inspired Technique, definitely standard, 2 Tyranny's Cost, and 3 Sleepy Boys. So it's kind of cool that Invoker has its own, like, Sand Instincts in a way. But I do have a question, actually. So with Sleepy Boy Technique kind of being the same thing as Tyranny's Cost, except for it also negates an attack and bounces a battle card, did you ever feel like you should have just bumped Sleepy Boy to 4 and maybe played, like, 1 or 0 Tyranny's Cost?
No, there's a lot of decks that they're going to go into a big hand size, and I want them to have as little of a hand as possible, and then be able to rip cards from that hand.
Okay,
So
so
Tyranids cost,
that effect's
the
actually relevant.
exactly, that shuffling back in and keeping it at 10 is very relevant.
Gotcha. Okay, very nice.
For Sleepy Boy, I do like using both of these cards in conjunction with Tournament of Power Arena, because you basically have 3 extra cards as an extension of your hand. So if I'm on offense, I will use Tyranny's Cost to grab those 2 cards I want, or defense to start my turn with Sleepy Boy.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you're kind of stacking the deck that way, making sure you know what you draw, and that is definitely one of the big advantages of Invoker for sure.
Absolutely.
So the rest of the extra card lineup, we have 3 Death Beam, 3 Royal Condemnation, and 2 We're in This Together. I gotta say, this list, I really like it, because at the start of set 10, I saw a lot of Invoker lists. They either had to sacrifice Death Beam, they had to sacrifice Royal Condemnation, because the list was so tight, and they're trying to play both the burn combo and the Victory Strike plays, and some of the more relevant extra cards. But you seem to fit everything in, which I really do like. So how'd you feel about these ratios?
Consistency is key. You can have your power plays, but consistency is, at the end of the day, is really what's going to win it for you. And I felt 3 of both Royal and Death Beam were the perfect number. As long as I saw it once, I was going to be able to see it for the rest of the game. We Are in This Together is probably my favorite card to open up with. If I see that at the beginning hand, I'm not sending it away.
Right, because you're going to just pitch it, recycle it, pitch it, recycle it, and get that value for the first few turns, right? Yeah, that's definitely a super strong play. All right, now we come to the burn engine. We have 3 Rival Seeker, 3 Energy Explosion, and 4 Catastrophic Blow. So everything here makes sense to me, except maybe for the 3 Rival Seeker, and only because it is a free 10k combo in a deck that lacks a bit of combo power. So how did you come to 3 copies of this card?
So that was the only one that I was thinking at maybe keeping at 4, but because we play We Are Universe 7, we're able to search it out. Essentially, we are playing 4 copies of that and 5 copies of Vegeta. And in testing, I just saw Rival Seeker a little bit too much. I know it sounds silly, but I wanted to see those other cards. And keeping it at 3, it's been the most consistent.
Gotcha. So pretty much every turn 5, turn 6 that you wanted to see it, you pretty much had it, right? And We Are U7 definitely helps with that as well.
Absolutely.
For sure. Alrighty. So we have next up We Are Universe 7 as a one of. Now I did watch Aspira. I did watch George's tournament report for his profile, and he actually mentioned potentially cutting We Are U7. So how do you feel about that? How'd you feel about this card in general throughout the day?
So I actually jumped into his stream the second he said that, and I was like, no, that's my MVP card, because it absolutely is. I do play something which we're going to see a little bit further down the list that really solidifies utilizing this card. But being able to double Apex, one turn after another is just very crucial to moralizing your opponent and stealing that win. It's also good because, like you said, we don't have a lot of 10k combo power in here, right? So you're going to have to combo Rival Seekers sometimes early on, especially against those aggro matchups. This, I can do that, and I don't feel like I'm ever going to be in a losing position. I can grab them back, and I have access to Roshi negates and anything that I might need, like a super combo. So I feel like it's definitely warranted at least of a 1 of. I might even bump it up to 2.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, it searches out the majority of your important cards. Searches out your awe-inspiring technique, Vegeta. Searches out your Rival Seeker. Recycles super combos. And that play you mentioned with recycling Apex, I hadn't even thought about that until this video. So I gotta say that's a really big brain play for sure. So 2 Master Roshi Universe 7 United definitely just makes sense in the deck because you want to have that U7 to play on your opponent's turn so that you can look at their hand and do what you have to do with that. Then we have the Topo Righteous Aid at 3. So once again, I watched George's video. He said 4 was kind of mandatory, especially because of how much aggro is in the format. So what do you think about that?
I've never had the need to summon 3 Topos with this build. Also, Roshi was not in my deck until last minute. I decided to throw him in because I just felt like I needed, again, that extra Universe 7 target a little bit earlier on. And it really made the difference. I had been playing a little bit more defensive with a different card, which, again, we'll see. But Roshi really had to stay in there. So I'm playing 52 because of that.
Gotcha. And let's talk about it real quick, because George did really go into how he was playing against aggro. So did you feel like you had a very specific game plan for decks like Vegex, decks like Reboot Gohan?
Yeah, I've actually... Vegex is the only one that can sometimes give me a problem because it's not just the early aggro, it's the late game aggro. That can be very oppressive. Every game where I had to deal with early game aggro, and this is not just this tournament, but almost every one that I've been in so far, I really haven't felt pressured at all. I've been fine with sitting at 1 life and defending my 1 life like a madman because of Topo and the other cards that I play.
Gotcha. So yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because Reboot Gohan will run out of steam relatively early. As where Vegex, they can kind of just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, which can be annoying. So I definitely feel that. So now we come to definitely the spiciest part of this deck list, right? So we have the 4 Beerus Divine Obliterator, we have the 1 Apex of Power, definitely standard, but the 3 Cooler Tyrannical Assault. Okay, when and why did you decide to include this in the main deck, and how did it perform?
Okay, so me and one of my teammates, Samuel Martinez, who you're aware of, you guys faced off in AC.
Yep.
We have been theory crafting with this for a while, and the biggest problem was our early aggro matchup. You know, turn 2, if we get destroyed, we get destroyed. There's really nothing we can do there. Cooler has been instrumental in keeping me alive in all of those games. He also is a unison killer. One of the biggest problems about this deck is it doesn't have a killer to unison. We need to be able to lower those markers so we can't get Trunks or we can't get Frieza. Even if we have the energy open for Royal Combination, you know, we can't do anything to Trunks. Right. We can do something to Frieza. So this was key. A lot of the times, the red aggro matchups would go super hard in and start using the balls on their skill list, right? So they're gonna have a 20k. You then do the Cooler, it lowers it by 10. At the end of the battle, that 10k comes off, and then it automatically dies because it now has 0 combo power.
That's pretty high value, yeah, actually. So you're essentially killing battle cards and deflecting damage, which, you know, early game that makes a huge difference there. So I mean, this was really solid, and of course, I don't think many people are gonna say this is like a standard card in Invoker, but going forward, would you say this is a card that every Invoker player should probably consider?
It has been a standard for me for the past 2 months, and I have cracked top 14 in every online tournament that we have gone into. 14, 4th, 11th, and 1st. So definitely, it has been my MVP because, again, we're playing best of 1 formats. These are not best of 3 formats.
Right.
Best of 1. Best of 1 is aggro territory. So to be able to utilize this, keep yourself alive, and then I don't have to worry about catastrophic blow from 7 to 0, right? I can just swing with Cooler, get a double strike in, they're at 4, and that's 3 catastrophic blows right there.
Very cool.
And that is majority of the time what I did.
Awesome. Yeah, I do got to say, this list, I feel like, definitely reinvents Invoker to a pretty large degree. So, and congratulations again, man. Any shout-outs you want to get out there?
Yeah, I definitely want to give a shout-out to Samuel Martinez. He really helped me with the list and testing. My local group of guys that come over to my house every Saturday, and we test. They are phenomenal. And then Marcus, you, and the Couscous Empire, you know, testing with you guys in stream has been fun as hell, and I look forward to more of it.
Awesome, man. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, man. Take care.